Good evening, Christy Batterson, Housing Community Resource Director. I just wanted to introduce our guest speakers this evening. We are part of several cities that are participating in the Long Range Transit Plan, Embark, us, and Norman, as well as ACOG. So I'm just going to turn it over to them because it's going to be a high-level thing, and I don't want to steal too much of their thunder. So I'd like to introduce Chip Nolan with Embark and John Sharp with ACOG.
Good evening. Thanks for having us, Mayor and Council. Just a quick overview. I'm with ACOG. We do a 30-year transportation plan for the region, and we look at a number of different items, but most importantly right now we're talking about regional transit in our study area. We have about 1.3 million folks here. Over about a 30-year period, our area grows by about 30%, so we're looking at obviously around 300,000 or more folks in the next 30 years. How are they going to move around? If this is as good as we're going to get today, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble, so we need transit and other forms of transportation to give our folks options. This study will really help us in regards to updating what we do here in Central Oklahoma. The last time we had a major transit plan like this was 2005, the Fixed Skyway Study, so we're long overdue. This plan will also be used as feeds into our 2050 plan for the region, so it's very, very important, and we're very happy to help the 3 transit agencies, but also it also ties in with the RTA work that's going on here locally. So I'll hand it over to Chip and let him do the presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Just want to add that I did grow up in Edmond. I live in Chimney Hill, so a longtime Edmond resident. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll walk through the slides today. So we'll talk about project overview, vision and goals, project schedule. So first, talk about maybe Embark's role. So we, as part of our MAPS program, it's funded arena park, lots of wonderful things, and within that, there was some planning funds set aside because we knew there would be a need. And so we recognized the need for this plan, and we approached ACOG and partnered with them. So we were both providing the funds for this study. So our goal was to give this a regional perspective. Again, as John mentioned, it's been 20 years since we've done a plan like this. So looking forward to working with everybody on this slide. We've made sure to include everybody from CityLink and City of Edmond, City of Norman staff, ODOT, Oklahoma City, ACOG, making sure that this is a really collaborative effort, making sure that they're involved at every step of the way. So first, talk about project description. We're going to look at our local services. We're going to define clear recommendations, and we're going to finally look at how much are these recommendations going to cost us. So right now we're wrapping up our assess phase, which included reviewing previous planning studies, baseline conditions, needs assessment. We're wrapping that up now. We're going into the second phase, which are evaluate phase, looking at network development, some scenario planning, and then some sort of framework to evaluate those different scenarios. And finally, resulting in recommend phase, talking about the outcome. So facilities, fleet, costing, operating, and capital funds to make that vision a reality. So again, a little bit more detail about the outcomes of this. We'll be looking at facilities, operators, fleet, capital and operating funds. We also want to keep in mind future updates. So we want to build in some sort of process to revisit this in a few years to make sure that we can extend the useful life of this plan as long as possible and it continues to stay relevant as the region changes. And then how do we phase this in over time in a way that makes sense? We'll also be doing a peer review with some other regions around the country that have gone through this before. What can we learn from them? What mistakes can we avoid? What lessons can we learn? So some steps that we're going through right now. We had a great workshop a few weeks ago with staff. We're gearing up for a town hall in a few days. I'll have some more information on that at the beginning. We've been presenting this to Norman City Council, to you all this evening, Oklahoma City, all the different boards. We'll be presenting this to RTA in a couple of weeks as well. And then we'll have another round of interviews, another workshop, and then hopefully plan approval later this year. And our project website, town hall, our project website is live. information on that at the end for ongoing public feedback about this plan. So we worked with all of our project partners, stakeholders, to develop our vision and goals. So we want to provide communities with meaningful access to transit, create a compelling rider experience, offering competitive service choices so that people want to use transit, so that it's a convenient option for them, and then utilizing resources effectively. We're going to have constrained budgets, so how do we target our dollars on things that are going to make the most impact? And then we'll use these goals to develop specific metrics and how we develop and score different scenarios so that we can create a vision that aligns with these goals. So then we'll be talking about developing a draft vision. So we've got 3 phases here. This is just kind of a draft. This will change as we go through the planning process, but kind of we've got 3 buckets. What's in each bucket may change slightly, but we've got resourced projects. These are things that have a certain level of funding committed. So the Northwest Rapid Line launched last December. The 2 other BRT lines are funded through our MAPS program through in Oklahoma City. And then we have our catalytic regional projects. Those would be a little bit longer time frame, maybe 10 to 15 years potentially, time frame a little bit longer. That's our north-south commuter rail line from Edmond to Norman. And then finally, some unconstrained regional projects that may be near the end of the planning horizon for this long-range transit plan. Looking at a RTA line out east to Tinker Air Force Base, an airport line, and then a BRT line out west, and a potential BRT extension. But then one of the biggest things that we want to do in this study is to start to talk about how our local service interacts with some of these high-capacity transit corridors. As these high-capacity transit corridors come online, how do we adjust our local service in a way that makes sense? What facilities are required, what hubs, what connections and transfers are going to need to happen for this transit network to make sense and to be convenient for our customers. So we'll be looking at types of service, frequency, how often does the bus come by when you're standing at a bus stop. We'll be looking at service spans. We'll be looking at all of those so that we're kind of creating hopefully a holistic regional transit network and not individual bus systems for each city. So a project schedule, again, right now we are wrapping up our assess phase, going into our evaluate phase, and finally our recommend phase, and coordinating with the RTA as we go so that we're all on the same page. And then our town hall, hopefully you'll join us Thursday from 11:30 to 1. Website is connectcentralok.com. We will post a recording of the town hall on the website if you're not able to join us at that time. You'll find more information on the project website, and we'll be doing a much deeper dive into the results of our assess phase during this town hall. So, and that's my presentation. Hopefully you'll have me back as we go through this planning study to have some more exciting updates. But right now, just kind of give you a high-level overview of what we're doing. So, trying to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? I really appreciate it. I always tell the personal story that I grew up on regional transit before I actually moved here, and that's how, in the 2 major cities I lived in before, that's how we got around. And as I would just love for Edmond to still be a partner in this regional solution for transportation, because I envision one day that you'll be able to go to the some station here or get on some bus here and go all the way down to Norman, and maybe to eat, watch an activity down there, then come back and never be in your car. Go to Oklahoma City, or when people, as Tinker Air Force Base continues to expand, the workforce can live all the way out in Yukon and just get on the bus or shuttle and come on into work. And with the frequency, they won't have to worry about missing transport. It's just, to me, it's just, there's so many options here that I think is just great. And I just hope Edmond continues to stay and be a strong regional partner as we go forward.
Absolutely, yeah, we're excited to work with you all on this project.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank
very
you.
much.
I was just going to echo some
Okay.
of the mayor's comments. I don't know if you all have noticed, but some people in Edmond are resistant to change. But I think one of the statistics you offered is we're going to grow by 30% in the not-so-distant future, right? People are, the number one complaint, right, is traffic congestion and difficulty getting around. And those road projects are not getting any cheaper. And frankly, there are times we can't expand any further because of property lines and so forth. So I would just hope that folks in the community would be open-minded about this as a solution to one of the number one complaints that people have. And yeah, it could be really powerful. And eventually, hopefully, we get regional transit. And you didn't mention football games, but, you know, people could go down to Norman football game. You don't have to worry about the traffic.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, those kinds of things. And eventually, I'd love to be able to take regional transit to the airport. Then I don't have to pay for parking at the airport. So I appreciate the information and laying this groundwork. And anybody listening, I just hope that they'll be open to this as a solution to some of the issues that people have.
Hopefully it will help us also with a solution with folks who work in Edmond and don't live here. And I'm hoping that will make that a little easier for them to get to the place that they want to work and love to work and to hang out. Our town is so much fun. And it's, you know, we keep talking about it growing and the population and the traffic congestion. Well, this is an amazing solution to that really important issue to a bunch of people. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And not to
Thank
mention
you.
folks who can't drive for one reason or another, giving them more ability to be independent too.
Absolutely.